what happens if men are women pleaser? A woman pleaser, a man woman pleaser, is a man who is not capable because of his own upbringing of setting healthy boundaries to a woman. Why is it here? We have taught men that they can, from now on, or probably started with the entire sexual revolution idea, where we said, well, our grandparents and our possibly also our parents, they weren't happy, so we're not gonna live those paradigms. We're not gonna live those rules. We're not gonna live inside of this moral or code of conduct framework. So we're gonna make our own right now, and we understand because we have our minds and we can construct behavior. So we're just gonna do it, and we're gonna make it different. And I think it was right to think it over. I think it had gotten us to a place where we are right now so much further in understanding what we really want and how we really can do it with all the damage which is done, And I would like to just point out a couple of things. A man who has not learned to set healthy boundaries to an aggressive woman, to a woman who crosses his limits or the limits of the family or the limits of the social context, is a man who lives, I think I can say, outside of his masculinity, outside of his testosterone behaviors, where he's a decision maker, where he is a boundary putter, where he is a goal getter, where he is a person of action, where he is the one who is leading by virtue, And since those, let's say, attributes or behaviors have gone astray in our society, they're just not there anymore, we are having many women, and I always say, behind an angry woman is always an irresponsible man. Why? Because the woman doesn't get that containment. A woman doesn't get this security. A woman doesn't get this safety, which we have learned now in all this investigating, that this is what women seek. And if they don't have it, we step into our masculine. We step into our, we defend ourselves. We are here for ourselves. If we don't have just masculinity, if we can't live inside of just patriarchal structures, we're just going to do it ourselves, which is true, which is like a survival code we are having, which is fine, but which hasn't brought us more towards family and less into relationships. And this is what we're learning right now. So a man who is a woman pleaser, who is a yes-sayer towards women, or who is somebody who retreats and who is not, let's say, putting on the armor of the knight, who is fighting for the family and who is looking for the conduct code and who is looking for the cult which is taking place inside of the family. This man has abandoned his role and his function. We didn't know that. You guys didn't know that. We're just figuring this out right now. I'm not here to say you did it. I'm here to say what is it we need to construct and how are the dynamics, okay, for us to reflect, to try to understand what is going on, and each of us to discern if this is a way we want to or go or not go, or which way we do want to go or not, or which of the constructs we would like to apply and to put into practice again inside of our behaviors, relationships, our families. So If a man is a woman pleaser, this man isn't giving a woman the containment. Look at this. A woman needs. If we are having these aggressive women, we need to watch out for this, that we women don't use our tongue and our emotionality and our language and our emotions, and how we express them and how we communicate to hurt a man. Men hurt women with their sexuality, be it inside or outside the relationship. But women hurt men with being emotionally closed, being aggressive, being attacking, being very masculine, and not allowing a man to find nest and to find containment inside of her. So if a man can't reach her and he can't tell, he can't understand, but he can feel. If a man can feel that he can't reach her, he either retreats or he retreats for good. He's just going out somewhere else. And a man who's constantly put into the position of a child or a subdued man is going to be a man being inside of estrogenous processes. He's not inside of his manly hormones, all right? So he will not come into leadership inside of those dynamics. And if he doesn't make himself respected by a woman who is, crossing his boundaries and crossing those limits with her words and with her masculine conduct, he will not be respected. And we have figured out inside of the relationship dynamics that what men want more than anything is, well, you got it, that's a third: respect, trust, be trusted, and he wants to get laid, of course. He wants sex. That's man biology. So let's dig in there. If a man can put boundaries to an aggressive woman, if a woman is in turn, what was first, the chicken or the egg? If the woman is aggressive, verbally aggressive, emotionally aggressive, in her masculine, and she will not be put into her in a healthy and just way into her limits, she will not respect him. And if he doesn't ask to be respected, he won't be respected. If she doesn't respect him, she doesn't trust him, because she doesn't perceive to be there a healthy leadership of him, a healthy protection system, a healthy containment, a safety in him. Somebody who will protect her, somebody who will embrace and cover and encompassing her, enclosing her. Yes? And we're going to be in dynamics where a woman doesn't respect and doesn't trust him. And a man, when he doesn't penetrate her, first emotionally, by asking her how she is, what is going on, and if what she wants to say has to do with what he feels guilty about because he's not in his masculine, and he doesn't want to know because he hadn't had the models, the role models to practice virtues, all the difference with all the social ideas of what we can all do. This man possibly doesn't practice virtues at all, but all the different. He is looking maybe too for quick sex, for masturbation, for pornography, for sex outside of the relationship, and a woman will always know in her heart, and will always be angry and closed. If he doesn't do it, and if he doesn't has her respecting him, and then in return receives her trust, yeah, and is not living with her a feminine or female-oriented sexuality, he will do a third thing, which will make her close and cringe and say, I'm better doing it myself, somewhere or somehow. So, if we are in those dynamics, a man not being able to put boundaries, a woman inside of all those dynamics, being angry, not being confirmed, not being protected. This is like a vicious cycle which is going on all over the place inside the relationship, where the same respect and the same emotional opening which the woman needs. When I was talking about a man penetrating her first, not only by pursuing her, by keeping on pursuing her over the time of pursuing her in dating, and will not penetrate her emotionally to ask her what is going on right now, what she needs to talk about, and to just, go over the storm, and listen to her, try to be containment for her, just be there, just be present for her. You don't have to resolve her something, not necessarily. You can ask her. You might only have to listen to her. And if what she has to say is not something outside of the relationship, but has to do with the relationship, and with him not being in leadership, and with him not practicing virtues, and because of this he will feel attacked, and he will feel he can't listen to her, and he doesn't want to listen to her because he hasn't found a way out of it. I hope you can understand me. I hope you can follow me. This is very, very multifold, and it is all connected one with another. And besides that, we need to work through our resistance while we're listening to this, because this is completely counterintuitive to what we have understood how things work in our society between men and women. Okay, there's much resistance too. So I would ask you to stay open, try to get the dynamics, and decide for yourself what to keep and what to let go of. Right? I'm not here to tell somebody how it is. I'm telling you here what I have understood, what it is, why we don't find into healthy relationships anymore, why we are having huge search results in narcissistic dynamics, while we are having huge search results in pornographic pages. Yeah. And what I have understood out of all this research, which has come out in the last, 10, 20 years, of what is happening. It is in search of happiness, not even of excellence, of happiness and of love. And then we can go into excellence. All right? So, the triangle of a man not being able to put healthy boundaries, being a woman pleaser, being not having her respect him and not receiving respect, and while he doesn't receive, he can't be trusted. Being possibly on the defensive side because he doesn't practice, doesn't have a virtuous life, because nobody showed him, because out of hormonal imbalance, I call this, being inside of his estrogen dynamics, he will keep on being in a feminine attitude and in looking for gratification outside of him, which is not being given to him anymore over hormones, over the testosterone processes, and over his behaviors inside the testosterone processes, and the behaviors resulting from the testosterone processes inside of the relationships, yeah, and vice versa, which means starting inside the relationships, a healthy boundaries will lift up his testosterone, and living the virtues will lift up his testosterone, and the other way around. Not doing this, he will keep on being in a cycle. Also the women in their testosterone sides. I'm not talking about this right now. I want to talk about virtues in men and leadership in men and the role of fathers. But if he can find out of the circle of estrogen processes inside of the relationship and with himself, he will always look for gratification outside of himself, being eating sugars, white weeds, looking pornography, getting, like I call this quick sex, which is also a way of conditioning himself to a very fast sexual life and to only being attracted to what he sees there and to this quick arousal and these like non-human images, like getting so far away from how women really are. And then we can get into how we don't know anymore to be people of integrity, of virtue, of being unique, of not being one of those who are appearing on the internet in those Facebook or whatever, TikTok. You can make your faces all look like me. I can look like I was 20 and stuff like this, If we are no longer strong inside ourselves and understanding what our passions are, what distinguishes us, what makes us really unique, what makes us being so individual and so lovable, while we are not being loved anymore by our families because we grow up in so dysfunctional families. So we're living in a deficit there too. So we're looking all outside of us for gratification, for beauty, for being loved. So we don't love ourselves anymore. I've talked about this more than enough, and I don't want to get into the dynamics, but they belong to it. So, if a man doesn't understand any longer that out of the process of respecting and of being trusted, being respected and being trusted, he will be able to get into a process of, if he penetrates her right, keeping on pursuing her, by talking to her. You look beautiful today, I hadn't seen that, I still love you. It's not enough that you said it once, right? Say it every day. And to penetrate it in a second way, emotionally, by asking her how she feels, what it is, what brings her up right now, by being there, not being fearful of it. Yeah, the virtues, this is something of courage. I'll read them. I have an entire list here, and it's a big old list. Where you as a man, once you develop those virtues again, and the other side of virtues are vices. Yeah, and this is where we are at. Like getting our gratification from food, from what we drink, from drugs, from risk-taking, from quick sex, from pornography, which gets a man in a constant testosterone deficient state, where it doesn't build testosterone, right? Risk-taking, drugs, all kinds of addictions, name them, workaholics, whatever it is, or simply escaping. Escape is a part of the process of a man like regulating himself emotionally. Okay, he doesn't do it as we do it. But it can't be a lifestyle. And it can't be combined with not putting boundaries to a woman and being a woman pleaser like that, and not being, in turn, you know it, respected and trusted. And like this, not opening a woman any longer to feel the safety, the reassurance, the containment, the protection. Let me look. The defense, you know, this prevention of bad, right? So we are in a cycle there. I hope you get this. I hope I could bring this over to you. Another thing I heard the other day. The privilege of a woman is to form the mind of man. And also of the man, okay? By us being, let's say, the container of emotionality and of communication and of many traits we have, the man sees himself reflected in us, and we are absolutely advisors for our man, you know? There's this other saying which says behind a great man is a great woman, right? But this is like a co-working, you know? This is like working together. This is an ally, right? And this is a man who is in leadership, okay? And a woman can make or break a nation by how she raises a single child. This is what Chesterton said. This is really interesting to understand how we women have this great duty to raise our children with virtues, where we women raise them and communicate the virtues, and the father and the husband confirms them, is being there as an example, enforces them through his proper living. He confirms the belief system of the family. He communicates and confirms the code and the cult. How to behave and what to do in times and places and rites, ritus, when. And as being an example of, and now I got to see if I get through this piece of paper I'm having here, because I got it in German and in English. Virtues, courage, vir in Latin, virtue, vir, is man or manly. Virtues is strength. To this belongs one virtue what I found the other day is gratitude. We in those coaching and mentoring systems, we teach so much gratitude these days, and it's a virtue. If we stay in gratitude, we know this, you know, when we're talking about perceiving goals, leveling up, we do it through envisioning it, through imagining it, through declaring it, and then through staying in a state of gratitude. To have it already and to not let go of this goal. All right? Humility and charity. But you know what? Humility is not being a woman or a people pleaser. Humility has also to do with when to say what and how to support what, but this doesn't mean to not set boundaries. And charity is something you also give inside of the family. It's not only giving away. And then charity is in connection with another virtue, which is hospitality and generosity. And this has also to do, this is not only for strangers, this is also something which this man sitting in this family embodies. You know, this stoic component of man, of exactly not being these like emotionally super connected, you all know these videos, of men's and women's brains and super communicative, but to having this stoic part, and to being containment, to being like this observer, to being this decision maker. Prudence in decision making, in goal pursuing, in pursuing a woman. Maybe they are very prudent these days because they don't want men, excuse me please, don't feel like, let's say, getting into relationships because they're not being respected and trusted, and women are emotionally such a mess. And men can say it, men are messes too. They are hurt too. But a woman who is healthy and can open herself will carry him with, because he's not the carrier of emotionality in the sense. Justice. We've been, let's say, cutting so thoroughly on this masculinity thing and on this patriarchal thing. And I always said, I don't have a problem with a just patriarch. I would love to be protected. I would love to be safe and secured by a man. Not having to defend myself against other guys, other women, economic instability. And still we can. It is not that we don't have those virtues. Fortitude, obviously. Temperance. Temperance, and where is this other virtue? I can find it right now. It's the same what containment has a part about, which is like this protection system, and to hold feelings and to stay apart and to not get involved so fast in being there and penetrating the woman first by letting her ventilate her emotions, her emotionality. This has something to do with temperance, with patience, moral excellence. And then we're getting into things which have become very something like disrespected almost, which is fidelity, discipline, self-reliance, industriousness, and chastity. A chaste man is someone who can contain himself in his very manly manner, and this means being able to get into a women-oriented sexuality, who's much more emotional about it, and he needs much more containment and much more time and much more attention. Let's say it at least like this. And there's so much treasure in those virtues. And if men start living them again for being virtuous, for transporting something they want in their relationships, in their families, and what in the end, if you understand it, makes them stronger, us all. Stronger, transports us automatically more into leadership, into guiding and protecting a woman and a family, who then in turn will feel guided and protected. So there's much to say about the entire topic. I know it is very multifold. I know it is very diverse to understand, because there's things which are seemingly counterintuitive and against our cultural values, because we think they are overcome and they have kept us in captivity and in unhealthy relationships, while they are being practiced justly and used prudently. These are in reality, this is the ground for healthy and happy relationships for both of us, women and men, and then for the kids too, obviously, and for raising healthy families which stay together as a form of wanting to stay together. It is no longer captivity. It is no longer you have to. It is no longer a must. It is something you, I say, glide into the more you practice it. The more you practice it, the more healthy gets the balance inside of our relationships. I hope this was helpful for you. I know this is complex, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit the conversation. I'm very curious about your comments down there. In the end, if you like to subscribe to my channel, give me a like if this was a good video for you, and I will see you on the other side in my next videos or in the comment section. I'm very curious to see what you have to say. If you're interested in a personal or in a group coaching I'm offering, you can contact me. It's down there too, at christinajunge.com, and I'll get back to you to see if we can work together or if there's no way right now. And check out the videos which are coming up left and right. I love to have you here. God bless you, folks, and keep up the good faith. Ciao and bye.